Defense and Marina to continue where they can to partner and do more. That's the expectation of the United States government, of the Mexican government, is step up so that we don't have to. And then sealing that southwest border is the defense of the American people. It's the defense of the homeland. And when you talk to the troops that are down there doing that, they're proud of it. We also have multiple national defense areas there, which are controlled by DOW, where we can do rapid testing on counter UAS, JIATA 401 capabilities. So we're using those places to streamline the process by which we see what the cartels are trying to do and get after it with new capabilities that we can then field elsewhere, also learning from Ukraine in the process. I would defer to the chairman.
Sir, I'll just add a few things onto this. It's the Russia-Ukraine lessons learned and the application of those lessons by other actors like cartels is one we're focused a lot on. It's going to require a whole of government effort. As the Secretary mentioned, we do have Joint Interagency Task Force 401, led by an incredible Army one-star Brigadier General Matt Ross, who's focused solely in a chairman's controlled activity. So 401 reports up to me and in turn then to the Secretary to make sure that we're entrepreneurially looking at how to sense, see, detect, and defeat the range of small UAS threats. General Ross was just out in CENTCOM looking at some of the challenges that they're having over there. It'll continue to be an area of significant focus for the Joint Force, sir.
Well, my time is up, but I want to ask you to continue working with Mexico. You do have unprecedented partnerships, but the more we can push them, they're allies. There's a historical sensitivity, we know why, but the more you can push them to get them to work with us, that would be great. Thank you so much for all of y'all.
Thanks, gentlemen. Chairman Rogers.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Secretary Hegseth, General Caine, Mr. Hurst, thank you for being here, and thank you, more importantly, for your service to the country. The 2026 National Defense Strategy makes clear that China is the pacing challenge. And this budget request puts real resources behind that nomenclature, including $11.7 billion for the Pacific Deterrence Initiative. My concern is that we're not just competing against China's military capability. We're competing against the speed at which China can build, replace, and influence. Where are some capability gaps when it comes to a potential conflict with the PRC? And General Caine, how will your priorities posture the joint force to close those gaps?
Chairman, thanks for the question. The speed at their production capability is one of the reasons why I'm grateful for the full team's partnership on speeding up the U.S. defense industrial base efforts as well as the national industrial base efforts. And I'd really like to thank those mom and pop machine shops and second, third, fourth tier suppliers that live in all of your districts who are also increasing speed and capability without losing quality across the entirety of our manufacturing system. And it's going to require all of that. And when we look at the range of capabilities that we must have to be properly armed and globally integrated, that extends to things like, long-range fires and really an ability to arm our joint force to win from the seabed to cislunar space in every single domain in there. And I'll defer to the comptroller and to the secretary to talk about the particular elements, but the goal is the range and mix of capabilities that create outsized dilemmas for Xi Jinping and others that are out there to ensure that we maintain and sustain deterrence. Thank you.
Amen. Thank you. Second, the war between the U.S. and Iran reinforces an old lesson, which is that modern conflict comes down to attrition. China has been able to produce naval ships at a pace our industrial base can't match. The ships are not as large as ours, but quantity has a quality of its own. How are we postured for an economy of force in the Pacific, particularly if Taiwan is invaded?
Well, sir, channeling my inner Clausewitz, which is always something I try to remember, the big moving parts of warfighting. You know, we're not really doing economy of force work in the Pacific. As you alluded to, sir, and others have, it's our primary focus. And so on a daily, on a daily basis, we come to the Secretary with a range of military options across the world so that he and the President can carefully consider those military actions and associated risks. It all comes back to the budgetary tools that you'll hopefully give us and the authorities to achieve those capabilities. And as we look, for example, at shipbuilding, which you talked about, I'm grateful for the work that the Navy is doing to scale that effort to ensure that we offer and continue to offer those range of options to our civilian leaders here in the United States.
Quickly to Epic Fury. Our fight with Iran has confirmed what defense planners had long warned about. Iran doesn't need a peer military to cause serious problems. His playbook to cheap drones built from commercial parts, sea mines in contested straits, fast attack craft, and anti-ship missiles. The war also confirmed a harder lesson. Even with overwhelming firepower, the side that runs out of munitions or air defenses first loses. Are we, Mr. Secretary, are we secure in that point?
Absolutely. And we are winning, have won every component of what we've fought in this conflict. Iran knows that based on the incredible degradation of their capabilities, and which is why we saw them wanting to come to the table. How this gets resolved will be on our terms, on President Trump's terms, and we have all the munitions and capabilities necessary to enable that.
Thank you. Yield back.
Thank you, gentlemen. Mr. Aguilar.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you all for being here. Mr. Hurst, on April 29th, as you indicated to the ranking member, you said that the Iran war had cost $25 billion in total. You reaffirmed that today. Do you have any other updated costs or projections since that testimony that you've given? Outside reporting estimates have indicated that the war costs could be $1 billion a day. Do you have anything to share?
Yeah, thanks for the question, sir. So at the time of testimony in front of the ask, it was $25 billion. But the Joint Staff Team and the Comptroller Team are constantly looking at that estimate. And so now we think it's closer to 29. That's because of updated repair and replacement of equipment costs and also just general operational costs to keep people in theater.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Mr. Secretary, when can you share more formal accounting on the costs of the war with Congress and with this committee?
We'll share what we can. I think we've updated on that number this morning, but when it's relevant and required, we will share it.
I think this would be the format that it would be required. Mr. Secretary, on that same day, April 29th, you testified that the current ceasefire meant that the 60-day calendar with the War Powers Resolution was paused. Who are the parties to the ceasefire?
Well, right now, we are in that same ceasefire as of right now.
That wasn't the question. Who are the parties to
It
the
would be the
ceasefire?
United States and the regime in Iran.
How many pages is the ceasefire? What deal points? I'm not asking you to share the contents. I guess what I'm trying to ask is, how do we know that the ceasefire is active or not active without any documentation?
We know it's evident, and the ceasefire is in effect.
But is it pages? Is it 15 points? There's been different points that have moved around. Is there any other, how do we know you just trust that the president knows that the ceasefire is active or not active?
As you know, for the most part, a ceasefire means the fire is ceasing, and we know that has occurred while negotiations occur, and there are lots of different discussions with our negotiating team that are happening. I'm there when those discussions are occurring, different drafts, different perspectives. So it's a very dynamic situation where a negotiated settlement could be the outcome here, where Iran does not have nuclear capabilities. And from the Department of War perspective, we're here to support those options.
On May 5th, you announced the launch of Project Freedom, which is a new exercise where CENTCOM will help coordinate ship traffic and guide commercial ships through the strait. President Trump then announced the operation concluded that evening. Now it seems that we may be revisiting that. Can you give us the latest on Project Freedom?
Well, as it pertains to battlefield options, we don't disclose those types of things, but ultimately, as the president stated publicly in his truth, at the request of the Pakistanis and given the options in the negotiation, it was paused, and it's an option we could always recommence should the commander-in-chief want us to.
Is the theory to create more ceasefires or more projects just to evade the War Powers Act?
The theory of the entire case is to prevent Iran from having a nuclear weapon. And if that has to be done kinetically and militarily, the Department of War is locked and loaded and ready to do that. If it happens through Project Freedom, where you move commerce through, if it happens through a negotiated deal, the president was very clear, even yesterday. This is actually quite simple. Iran will never have a nuclear weapon, one way or another, and we're here to support as one tool of the whole of government to make that happen.
General Caine, the depleted munitions have been a subject of some of the discussions that you've even heard here today. With respect to stockpiles that we have around the world, key regions like the Indo-Pacific and the Middle East, can you give us an update? What are you hearing from the combatant commands about their munitions status around the world?
Well, sir, we have sufficient munitions for what we're tasked to do right now. That's what I hear from the COCOMs. What I will say is I will always want more, so I appreciate the effort of this committee and the Congress. We're always going to want more munitions.
Secretary Hegseth, what are you doing to support the involved services to recap their losses?
We're submitting a $1.5 trillion budget that'll remake the department and ensure that every warfighter in the future has exactly what they need, and we're never in a fair fight. And I take issue with the characterization that munitions are depleted in a public forum. That's not true. And ultimately, we have all the munitions needed to execute what we need to execute, and we're going to ensure that we supercharge that going into the future.
I think you've heard differences from both sides of the aisle on that point. Yield back, Mr. Chairman.
Thanks, gentlemen. Judge Carter.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and welcome to each of you. We're glad you're here. Start off with something I'm concerned about. Mr. Secretary, my MILCON VA subcommittee is aware of living conditions of the 68W combat medic students at the Joint Base San Antonio. Frankly, they're very unacceptable and quite unlivable. As chairman of the MILCON committee, I'm deeply concerned that there appears to be no imminent path forward to fix these issues. What actions is the department taking to improve these living conditions and ensure our soldiers receive safe and dignified housing not now and not in the years to come? Our budget cannot fix that. It's not, we don't have enough money. You got all the money. What do you think about that?
First of all, let's fix that. whatever unit that is, we want to know about it, and we're going to get a team out there right away to address it. And we've used discrete examples like that to find the gaps in why we're not getting at it on a more holistic fashion. Because we've came in on a huge deficit of maintenance on barracks and housing. This
I know that.
this budget funds that. We're also going to pursue MilCon reform, because in too many places, we're trying to build things around MilCon as opposed to using MilCon, because MilCon is so bureaucratic and slow in its process. So we look forward to working with you to fix that, not just this discrete barracks issue, but where we found them, we fixed it.